Good evening, everyone. Thank you to everybody at the RMG for inviting me here tonight. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Dana Jackson, although some of you may know me better as my online persona, Hot Pink Apron. I am a wife, a mom, a recipe developer, and a freelance food writer. But above all else, I am a creative enthusiast. I am absolutely hooked on that creative rush that comes from creating something new and valuable. It's a feeling I strive for each and every day. But with kids and those responsibilities and those adorably distracting cat videos, it isn't always easy to get into the creative spirit. We rely on certain people and places and things to spark our creativity. Certain triggers that don't necessarily need to be elaborate trips to Paris, but as I recently discovered working on this project, creative inspiration that can come from the simple inanimate objects of our everyday lives. This piece from the Historical E&Y Collection here at the RMG, painted in 1848, really grabbed me. Maybe it was the mysterious red splatter all over the man's hat and coat, or the super creepy grandmother just lingering in the shadows, or perhaps it was that it reminded me of Van Gogh's The Potato Eaters, a painting that I wrote an essay on in public school 20-some years ago, and had just happened to earn me a A- and therefore earned itself a special place in my heart. No, I don't think it was that. I think what really drew me to that painting and what I want to talk to you about tonight is the common element that those two share. Family sitting around the dining table. There is just something so compelling about a group of friends and family encircling that space. Albert Einstein once said, "A table, a chair, a bowl of fruit, and a violin. What else does a man need to be happy?" This, of course, coming from the creative mind behind the quantum theory of light, the theory of relativity, and the link between mass and energy. All theories that he very likely established while sitting at a table. Time spent at the family dining table can create the memories of our happiest days. From Thanksgiving turkeys to Easter hams, it is the food placed on that table that has become the central focus for almost all holiday and family gatherings. The dining table is a place where we set family values as a top priority. We regroup and, forget about the stresses of our job and busy day. In many cultures, it is a gesture of respect to be invited to one's dining table. And as the recipient, it is expected to follow along the traits of the host table, even if you don't practice them yourself. And pop culture has done a great job to remind us that the dining table is a place of peace, where we can put aside our differences and come together over food and drink and conversation. No matter your political or religious beliefs, skin or fur color, debate pauses at the table. And if potentially stressful words begin to creep into the conversation, there's usually a referee to remind everyone, not at the table. And throughout our Canadian heritage, dining tables have played an important role. It was while sitting at his dining table in his Vancouver home that E.Y. Buchanan reportedly penned one of the first English versions of our national anthem in 1908. And during the War of 1812, whilst American soldiers ate and drank at Laura Secord's dining table, it was here that she overheard their plans of a surprise attack on Canadian troops and set off on her heroic 32-kilometer trek to successfully warn Lieutenant Fitzgibbons. And yet, with its great value and rich history, aside from a few creative renditions here and there, few have tried to improve its simplicity. While our phones become smaller, sleeker, and smarter, the dining table remains the same, a flat surface with legs. Could the dining table be the most undervalued, valuable thing in creative history? I began to consider my own relationship with this object/space. That beat-up pine table I grew up with, the one freckled with fork holes and evidence of a young love affair with acrylic paint. My mom, brother, and I ate at that table nearly every night for nearly a decade. And when I moved out and into a beat-up old Victorian house in Toronto's Kensington Market, with 3 U of T engineers, 2 guitarists, a zoologist, a painter, the poet, a barista, and myself the DJ, our central hub became our table. Although it was more of a wooden table or wooden door balancing on milk crates, but it worked, and we called it the Misfits Meeting Place. I adopted the role of mom and took care of dinner duties, most often cheap, hearty, and crowd-pleasing pot of vegan chili. It was amazing the conversation that table could provoke. and those inspiring meals continued through film school, but eventually I landed in LA developing games and products for CSI and CSI Miami. Here I learned that sushi and Red Bull were on most tables on the West Coast, and that no matter how many boardroom tables you sat at to discuss work, it was over lunch and dinner and cocktails at the golf course that the real deals were made, and if you received an invite to join those tables, you had proven yourself worthy to be there. And for years, this was fun, but when my daughters, Edie and Alice, were born, I decided to return my focus to the family dining table. I became a full-time stay-at-home mom, and my creative outlet became the food that I put on the table. I began documenting my culinary adventures in a hot pink apron, and so began this creative career I've enjoyed for the past few years. These days, my table functions as my studio, a workspace, this social place I invite my friends to laugh and play at, and at the end of every day, when eating with my family, it becomes my favorite place on earth to be. For far too long, I've taken for granted what tables mean to me. But thanks to this scene painted 166 years ago, a scene that could have easily be recreated minus the apparent blood and creepy grandmother, in my home on any given Friday night, I realize now just how comforting, engaging, and timeless the dining table really is. So the next time you find yourself seeking inspiration or feel like you're in some sort of creative rut, stop asking, what do I bring to the table? Rather consider, what can the table bring to you? Thank you so much. Happy creating, everyone. Thanks.